Hello, we are live once again. Today, it's an hour earlier in England, so I had to reorganize my day slightly. I almost didn't make it, but I'm here for the market close. We're here with Edge4 Platform, as you can see on the screen, and we're here for some. I think it's a red day. I've been quite busy today, so I haven't had a chance to really get into everything. But we can do that on this session. There's no issue with that. Let's get rid of that. We go to Edge4 night to start off with. I'll also change it to dark. Do not worry. I'll do that now. It's night time here, so why not? What's going on? Where is everything? There we go. So yeah, we do a little bit of a red day today. We do have Apple earnings and Amazon earnings after the market close today, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see where this price action goes. But for now, I mean, the power hour breakout report is kind of redundant already because we're on the 5-minute time frame. These are the lows of the day that have already been set in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the market open today. Nice little push up and obviously kind of trailed down for most of the day. We've broken those lows. So if we go into the data, and then we'll get into some kind of standard questions in a minute. That's the wrong thing. We go to data. We go to stock. Go to SPY. That's where I work off my data for. And then we go over here on the bookmarks. We go to power hour breakout report. And we can see the likelihood of it making a new low of day was only 15%. And it did that. But of course, with these weeks, you need to be careful when you choose to use this data as well. And to, be fairly logical with it, of course. Where's the chart area? Because you've got earnings season, obviously, kind of happening at the moment. You've got lots of, what was I trying to say? FOMC and Fed Jerome Powell talking as well. So you've got to be careful kind of when you're placing, these trades, etc. So there's not going to be much in the way of that for now. I'll go ahead and mute my watch there. But how are we? I mean, we've been 2 minutes now and I've done this waffle slightly. How are we? Are we feeling good about the markets? And a bit of a pullback today, and I think a bit of a pullback yesterday, I think it was. So we've got yesterday's price action. Yesterday's price action was here. So a bit of a pullback, kind of came back overnight with a sharp drop around about 3:50 in the morning. How random is that? Obviously for the US, that would have been 11 at night, something like that, on the Eastern Coast. Get rid of that bar as well. Confusing for people. Yeah, so what I normally do when I start off these sessions is, go through the power hour breakout report in terms of data. So let's go and get that started. Apple's going to be a funny one because obviously we are reporting earnings tonight, so it will be a bit more volatile than normal. We're kind of also trading within the middle, so we don't really like that. Where's the previous high of day? This is the high of day. Wow. Incredible push up in the first 5 minutes. Wow. So yeah, just trading in between these two lines. This is the first line. I'll highlight it so I can kind of talk about what I'm thinking as I'm thinking it. So in between these two lines, that's the low of day, that's the high of day. We're right in the middle. So there's no reason to even look at the power hour breakout report because we want to be near the highs or near the lows. Let's move on to Amazon, probably near the lows. Again, that I think that oh, taking myself off of the highlighter mode, shall I? This, I think the wick has come all the way down here in the first 5 minutes because that blue line wouldn't be there if it before this line, if that makes sense. Let's take off the moving averages, take a bit more of a simple view. But yeah, either way, that would have been really interesting. You probably wouldn't be able to take anything at that point, but again, it's got earnings in 25 minutes, so it's not ideal. Move on to Alibaba. Again, that's not too bad. Zoom right in, shall we? Let's have a look at this. So yeah, again, that's not too bad. What you could, so this is the lows that are set in the first 5-10 minutes, which seems to be a bit of a theme today. I didn't see this earlier, so that's news to me. And obviously we've trailed back down. This is Alibaba, of course. we've come almost very close to touching the lows of the day. So you could have placed a trade somewhere around here. But the reason I'm apprehensive about that is because how? How would you have entered? What sort of support would you have had? You might be able to look at something on a larger time frame, perhaps, but even that's going to be, you're not going to be able to pick that point exactly. If you see what I mean. Now, maybe you could get in on the minute time frame. If you're feeling really vibrant, but given the direction of the market, it's pretty hard. But you've got a bit of a trend line here with the minute time frame. So it could be coming back down to retest that, and then obviously you would have a trade. You would go long somewhere around here, stop loss below the moving average, and then going higher. I realised I didn't actually check the data. Check the data first. Nope. Oh, well. So the odds of it making a new low of day is only 13%. Let's go to weekday. So with this report, this is the Power breakout report, of course. One of the things you can do is obviously once you're on the report, once you've selected your stock, your asset, whatever it may be. For me, it's Barber here, as you can see. And then what you can do is choose the sub report, which is down here, number 6. I don't know. Can you see that? Am I in the way? Let's get up this. I'm not in the way. You can see it. Fantastic. Okay, yeah. So you can see here by weekday, you can do by standard, which is obviously the standard report, and then by weekday and by open as well. By weekday is really good because you can see everything in the last 6 months, which is the data range we have selected here. Everything in the last 6 months, every Thursday in the last 6 months, there has been no new low of day made, like 0%. So that's really good data. So there's 0% chance of this going down below this line. Now I think, given the way the market is acting today, it could well break down below that. And it's showing like that now. I'm not going to get into this because, I've been out of the day too much, and I'm probably not going to get into any trades right now, unless something really juicy turns up in the last 20 minutes, which you never know. You really never know. But yeah, that's Barber. The likelihood of it going below this blue line is 0%. Let's see how that plays out. And obviously, if it does go below that, then what it will do is it will populate a certain percentage on this graph that we see here. I'm gonna have some water. I just rushed down some dinner. You see, so. Parched. That was the table. That wasn't me. Anyway, what are you trading? I want to know what you're trading. The link for Edgeval as well will be in the description down below if you're on YouTube, and I'm just about to add it on the stream if you are watching it on X. There you go. I've just added it for you. So you can go ahead of that. I think it's a free trial, 7-day free trial. It's worth getting into for sure. If you're a bit more data driven, obviously technicals don't work all the time. Since I've moved to the Edgeval platform, I've made nothing but money. So I can vouch for them. It's not guaranteed, of course, but it is a good platform if you can understand it and you can use it right. What we're doing, we're going to cycle through the stocks, aren't we? So yeah, Barber's looking like it's going to make a new day. It just looks like it, to be honest. These things happen. Google obviously got good earnings yesterday. Didn't actually see anything on it. Been pretty busy this week, but we are trailing down to the lows of the day. Might be, I don't think it'll be too easy to get into a trade. Struggling to get through this line, so maybe you could have a bit of a buy here, but then your stop loss would be all the way down here, which is not ideal, especially going into 20 minutes of trading. I mean, you could. There's definitely bullish signs, considering the market is taking a bit of a hit, and this one stayed green. It's not too bad. You could have a bit of a trend line here, perhaps. It breaks out of there. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, normal traders would have the stop loss here, but in terms of data back traders, you'd have it down here. And of course, I've done it again. I haven't checked the data yet. The data suggests there's a 16% chance of a new low of day made, which is pretty good. but the risk to reward there is 1.42. You're probably looking at near the highs in the day, which is happening in 20 minutes. I mean, really, probably not. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, there's two potential trades there. So we've got one on Barber, which again is showing a little bit of strength, tiny little bit of strength down there. But we'll get back into that in a little bit. Meta down 11%, nowhere near its high of day or low of day. That's the high of day here, low of day here, nowhere near. So we're going to move on. Microsoft. Now, there's a reason why it's really, really blue, and it's probably in some sort of larger time frame bubble. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Microsoft down 3% now. This is interesting because what you can see here on the larger time frame, this has got nothing to do with Edgefor, but just from a swing trader's point of view. Obviously, I probably had to look into the details of the earnings, which is probably why it's dropped. Well, it is why it's dropped. But this could be an interesting spot to go, you know. Anyway, going back into the 5 minutes and talking about Power Hour breakout report. Now, put in the comments or message me on DMs or whatever if you think it would be better if I went live for the last half an hour of the day, talking about the market, of course, and how it's been, and looking through the Power breakout report, or would you like me to go live in the first half an hour of the last hour, if that makes sense? So for me, it's 8 p.m. Because the market closes 9 p.m. apart from this week. And then for you, it'd be 3 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. if I go live, just so then we can get a bit more of a setup potentially for the trades. Yeah, hit me up on the DMs or message me on YouTube now. Whatever's easiest for you. I'm gonna get some feedback on that. Netflix kind of trading near the lows of the day. That's not too bad actually. Bit of resistance coming up here. We've had support a couple of times throughout the day. Bit of resistance already at this point, so maybe if we can get through that, there's potential. Nvidia, nearish the low of days for sure. Just trying to see a bit of a pattern here, but I can't really adjust today's price action. You're looking at that. I mean, you could have this bar is so big, you could have this trend line wherever you want, pretty much. So for me, I'm going to put it here. That's where the close, that was the open of the bar. That's where it opened. You could bring it back a bit as well, but that's not going to give you much data in terms of technical analysis. So yeah, it's pretty shady, pretty tricky market today actually to navigate through Power Hour breakout report. But you can see there's an 8% chance a new low of day is made. Now, of course, you have to think on the logical side of things as well. These are very low percentages of the new low of day because we're in a bull market. We've been going up for the last 6 months. So you can see choose data range here, 6 months. If I went to a year, let's go for 1 year out, that percentage would be a lot higher than 8%. Or not, 10%. Perhaps it's a bad example because Nvidia is basically going up for a year straight. But even still, that's good data for a year. For a year's data, every Thursday, only 10% of them have made a new low, which is quite extraordinary, to be fair. That's why I like playing around with this platform. You can select all days, different hours. As well, you can extend the hour to a 2-hour time frame, or 3 hour, 4 hour, 3.5, whatever you want. So you can get the data you want regarding that. So it's not necessarily power hour; it could be power few hours, if that's a thing. Right, let's go back to Nvidia. So the likelihood of it going back down below here is only 8%, I think it was. So you could definitely get into a trade here near enough. You'd probably do a little bit more TA than I've just done, with a nice little stop loss below, obviously the low of day, because that's where the data lies. Target would be somewhere around this sort of line here for sure. which is a 1.68% risk to reward ratio, which is pretty good for a scalp, in my opinion. Moving on to Tesla, down 4% on the day. We are looking nearish the lows for sure. Maybe a bit of a double bottom here. There's a natural kind of trend line set here on the 5-minute time frames. Perhaps if we can get through there, have a nice break. But still, there's a lot to happen in the last 15 minutes for that to kind of play out. Thank you for everyone watching, by the way. Do appreciate the support. Oh, I haven't done the oh yeah, look at this. Like and subscribe all over my face. We've got welcome here as well. That's up in the top left hand corner. And I think like and follow is all over my face too. If I go over here, maybe. Anyway, I'm being silly now. But yeah, do like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. I do appreciate the support. If you find any value in this, even if it's not just from an editorial point of view, but just from a trading point of view, just me looking at the charts, then obviously drop any comments. Let's go back to Barber, see if it's made a new low on the day. It hasn't. Not yet, but it is very, very close. Look at that. I think it's going to do it. I think it's going to do it for the first time in the last 6 months. I think it's going to make a new low. It's got 13 minutes to do it. Right. I've been doing some investigations into leap calls. I've been really lackluster on options throughout my whole trading career, really. And obviously, I've only really become properly introduced to it in the last year since Robinhood's been in the UK. About a year, might be more actually. And that, I'm doing a little bit of research into actually, how to buy them and how to look at good options. So if you've got any resources that you might want to point me towards, then please do. It'll be a video or, well, a video would be good. Just a video would be fine. Not all about this. I'm not a big blog reader. Yeah, we will see. I wonder what Amazon is going to do tonight, and Apple actually. Bit of a drop into the close for Amazon actually. Tiny little one. What's the SPY doing? Yeah, dropping. Another thing you can do is see I think it's the screener, or is it what's in play maybe? That's the screener. If you go to the screener on the left here, this little circle thing. In fact, if I check this button, it says screener there. You can click to see what the bias is on the day. You can see it's bearish, 54% bearish, which makes sense because the market is red. A lot of people use this in the first hour or so to kind of get a feel on the day. And if it's a bit too mixed, then it's probably a no trade day because obviously you don't really want to have too much contradiction, I guess, when you're going into the day. For me, in the last hour, it doesn't matter too much. It's all about where the price action is for a certain asset. For us, obviously, we're just looking at basically the Mag 7 and a couple more to see where they are at any given point. So we've had Barber. Did it make a new low of day? It still hasn't. So this could be a prime opportunity to get in because it's down at this kind of. I'm not saying get in, and of course it's not financial advice, but it's at this trend line we can see here, and the risk to reward is really low. So if you get into here and you have a trade, you've got a 0.12% loss chance, and obviously you just kind of take the profits wherever it comes up to before the close, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anyway. I'm not trading at those. Too close for me. Plus we're dropping. We're past it. I think we've actually made a new low. Is that a new low? Or is that an equal low? Wow, this is tense stuff. I should put on some tense music in the background. I won't because I can't. Actually, we'll get rid of that so you can see the dramatic end to Alibaba's day. If this does actually play off, then I will be slightly annoyed. Right. The only music I've got is very boring ones. I think StreamYard needs to do better with their music, for sure. I might actually be leaving StreamYard soon. There you go, new low of day made for Barber. It was always going to happen, in my opinion. You're still within a shout of making this trade if you did get in. I'm not talking to anyone specifically, but kind of more as a preface. That's why if you have a stop loss, you can drag it down as much as you can, as you want, really, but be within the realm of the lows of the day for sure. Right. Apple having a bit of a hit before. It's rebounded quite nicely throughout the day, actually, considering where the market's gone. But Amazon also getting a bit of a hit before the market gives its earnings. Barber we've seen, but showing a bit of strength here into the close. Google breaking out of this trend line. This is another one that we thought about, wasn't it? So now could be a good option. But then you've only got, what, 8 minutes to get any sort of gains? And at this point, I would probably, I know the data lies down here, but in terms of trading, in terms of time that we have, I'd probably have the stop loss below here. It's just a little bit better on risk reward, because if it does pump all the way down here in the next, what's that, next 8 minutes, then you're going to be very sad. What's going on here? Right. So one of the things you can do on Power Hour Breakout Report is, I spoke about it briefly earlier, is you can actually customize it to make it to 2 hours. Or any hours really, so 1.5, 2.5, but I like to go for 2 every now and then. And all it does basically increases the percentage on both sides, because obviously there's more price action. But if you were looking to get into a trade in the last couple of hours, and you wanted some data to kind of back that up, then this is obviously what you need, I would say. So we've got the Power Hour here. SPY, we can see the percentages for SPY are always going to be higher than the stocks because there's more involved in SPY. But you can see percentage of our new low of day made at 26.77%, and then obviously new high of day is 43.3%. But if we go to something, I don't know, like an Amazon, it'll be naturally lower, of course. And then obviously the way to do that is to go to Trading View. We go to Amazon as we're on that. On the data on Edgeful, what we do is you can see the blue line, which is actually Power Hour. That's the high of day, and the low of day is obviously down here. Power Hour starts here. So what we want to do is move that an hour back to kind of go in line with the data. So we go to Power Hour Breakout Report indicator on top left hand corner. All of these indicators come free with the platform. All you got to do is put in your Trading View tag, I guess, whatever it's called, and then boom, you get them all. So Power Hour range, you go from, this is obviously Eastern time, so we just change that to 2 o'clock, like so. And you see those lines moved, and then suddenly the data that you're looking at is from this line, not this line over here. So you can play around with that. I personally just mostly use the hour because time. So yeah, we go to, and what that does is it changes the indicator for everything because we're on the layout of Edgeful Night up here in the top right corner. I do recommend, if you are going to get into the Edgeful kind of side of things, then making different, I don't really know what the layouts, I guess they're called. Making different layouts is very key. So you can have edgefold swing. I've got one here. And I've also got edgefold day as well, which is all about the kind of gap fills and the initial balance breakouts and stuff like that. So yeah, well, we are really dropping into the close here, are we? Let's go back to edgefold night. Spy. Here we go, spy. Yeah, we are dropping into the close. There you go. Bit more of a push into the close. We've got what, 3 minutes of the market left? 3.5 minutes. And then we have Apple and Amazon earnings. I will not be covering it tonight. I don't normally cover earnings, so. Oh, look at Solana. Oh. Just on a different note here, let's go to the swing chart. Go to Solana. What a day that is. That is a trendline break. I have never seen one. It is in the short term. In fact, I've already got trend lines there. You just can't see them. Because I sometimes trade on a white chart to mix things up, you know. Let's go ahead and make them white. It is right on that trend line. So if you think crypto is going to be bullish in the next few days, which it doesn't look like it, must be an old trade. Clearly went well. Yeah, Bitcoin itself posting really rough 2 or 3 days. It's a big low here. Yeah, this could go down. Potentially, I mean, Ethereum's still within the channel. They're all kind of at support-ish, aren't they? Yeah. We've got SPY, I think, dropping into the close as well. 2 minutes left, and then we've got Apple and Amazon earnings, which enjoy. I'm sure someone around X and I think Wolf, of course, will be covering it. Whether him himself or actually just a group of people, the network, should we say, they'll be covering it on Spaces. Right, well, I think we'll leave it there. Got 1 minute to the close. We'll see how it closes, and we'll leave it there. If you've got any comments, questions, then do obviously DM me. No issues. Put it in the comments below, in either the X or YouTube, of course. If you want to get into Edgepool, link is in the description in YouTube, and it's linked as a comment just below this stream on X as well. So plenty of ways to kind of get hold of it. It's a 7-day free trial, so you can get into it, have a look at it, and play around with it. I think it's really important that you get on with the actual videos as well. So when you get into the platform, you can see here. If you go home, then straight away you'll get all of these videos come up. How to take a trade, and these are all very short videos, 8 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, very easy to understand, very well broken down. So yeah, go ahead and watch those before. It probably takes a couple of hours, not too bad. I learned it pretty quick. And then you learn all these reports and you think, oh, actually, maybe this one's good for how I live. For me personally, obviously, I'm in the UK, so I don't really trade during the day because I'm working. So I can only really trade at the end of the day, right? Which is why Power Hour Breakout Report is so useful for me. But yeah, no, give it a go. Apple, where are we going? SPY. We closed it very low there. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Enjoy your evenings. Take care. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Trade safe. Trade safe. Very important.